Hello, you beautiful people, and welcome to the, as of yet, award-winning That 40k Lunchtime Show. Brand new one coming hot off the press straight towards you at a million miles an hour. It's going to be great fun, we're going to have a great time. And fortunately, it's just not me who is going to be analysing the meta, dissecting lists, having fun all by myself, because I'm joined by two wonderful chaps. Let's start with Mr. Ed Watts, who I believe at around this time last year was right at the top of the UKTC, kind of third or fourth, heading into the LGT with a chance of winning the whole thing. So hopefully he has some idea what he's talking about. How the devil are you, sir?
I'm fantastic, Mr. Chris. How the devil are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. It's been, I think, fair to say, a stressful morning for me for a variety of reasons. But hey, we're here. We've managed to conquer all the technological issues that we could get past, and I'm
Indeed.
excited to crack on for the next hour. But also, there is someone else here, best friend and nemesis of the channel, who has started to come over to the dark side. He's going to be joining our content creation team. He's got lots of really fun ideas, so we're really excited to have him along. Just off the back of Team England at WTC, it is Mr. Jack Tight. How are you?
I am doing great, sir. Thank you very much for allowing me to get involved in making all this wonderful content for you all.
Ah, it's an absolute pleasure. It's nice of you to show up as well.
Yeah,
First
I very
ever
nearly didn't turn up this morning after a number of teething issues, but we are here now. So
We are here now, and we had good fun.
and we were only 1 minute late.
Only that is all. That is all we need. And special shout out to Spray Black Studios, who's just become a member. Thank you very much. Which actually brings me on to my next point. Those of you who follow the channel might be thinking, Chris, you should be at school teaching children about the wonderful ways of the world. Well, actually, I recently made a decision to move down to 4 days a week to enable me to focus on 1 day a week pure content creation. It's our goal to try and expand 6++ as a business, and over the next couple of years we feel there's an opportunity to really grow. So as such, I'm going to be earning less money in the long-term goal to make more money. So that's the hope. So any likes and subscribes, any comments really help the algorithm, even if it is on all of our Grey Knight videos telling us how wrong we are, because Ed and I have been enjoying that. Lots of
I've been very much enjoying that.
It's been good times. But obviously we also have membership options, where you can just say thank you for doing content, but we also have a load of members videos, of which there'll be a lot more coming out on a weekly basis. We even have coaching. All three of us do coaching. So yeah, you've got the best of the best. You've got two incredible players here, and I'm here as well. But I have beaten both of them before, so we won't go into details, but I have beaten them once.
Have you?
Yeah, Ed, and actually our game was live on stream.
A TTS game.
Yeah, TTS live stream game. So
Where was my loss?
we don't need to dive into that. We won't worry about the details. So there we are. Anyway, the format of today, what I'm going to do now is I am going to share my screen really smoothly so that anyone here who is watching will not see at all what's going on.
Hide your internet history. Hide it.
Oh no! Well, I did a very clear sweep before I.
Good lad.
No. So in today's show, this is going to be the same format every single week. Okay. So we're going to start off by looking at the week in Warhammer. What's the news? Sometimes that'll be more exciting than other times. As it happens, we've had quite a big drop recently, so lots to talk about there. We're then going to spotlight an event each week and just use that to talk about the meta. In this case, it's the Goonhammer Open. We're not going to talk about the Glass Hammer Open that Jack won with War Masters. No, not interested in that.
I was a bit disappointed in that. But...
Yeah. Nah, to be fair, I actually offered, and you were like, all right, let's do a singles event. So there we are. You missed the opportunity to talk about your wonderful weekend with Emperor's Children. Then we're going to have a fun game. Who am I? Ed versus Jack will be testing their law knowledge. I'm very excited to see how that goes. And then we've also got a list surgery. So if you're a member of the YouTube channel, you can go on our Discord into the YouTube members section and submit a list, and we will talk about your list. Probably more Ed and Jack than me, to be honest with you, but they'll have a go. And they've also got one extra little thing occasionally, which I haven't actually added here, which is an agony aunt, a dear Deirdre. where we can kind of just solve your life's problems. Okay, it doesn't even have to be Warhammer. We'll just solve all of life's problems, nice and simple. So before we dive in, let's have a quick look at the chat. So we've got Hubis, hey Dom, afternoon.
Have we lost Chris's audio?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Am I back?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
There you go.
My phone, whilst I was opening my iPhone to look at the chat, just decided to try and connect to the laptop.
We heard you typing.
Excellent. It's just technology today, man. It's just having a fun time. I was just talking to the chat. Hey chat, how's it going? So I was saying Sprayback Studios wants to comment saying how much he hates Grey Knights. I was like, absolutely, please do that. No, we love the engagement. So, the week in Warhammer. New Knights, they seem quite good, don't they? Fireside immediately jumped out straight into a video to tell us how broken they are. So, Ed, have you managed to track the New Knights rules at all?
Obviously, very, very kept up to it a lot. Totally read the codex, 100%. I've not totally just seen what is in the England group chat, and that's it. But they seem like they're going to be very good. It seems like they can shoot you with like 4 knights turn 1 or something like that, which all seems reasonable and fine. I think alpha strikes in the game are super healthy, so I'm really excited to see that happen. It's going to be great.
Absolutely. Jack, any more opinions? You are a bit of a knight player occasionally, so what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, so I have, unlike Ed, read through the codex, and
Good.
I think the movement stuff is clearly a little bit insane, and I think it's going to lead to some very unfun and very quick games. But actually, I think once that's reined in, I suspect Imperial Knights will probably slot along quite nicely alongside their Chaos Brethren. There's just a couple of Alpha Strike related issues that they need to fix very quickly, otherwise they're not going to be very enjoyable for the game, I don't think.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you think then, before any fixes are made, do you feel like they're about to shoot straight to the top of the meta?
I think the things that have dealt with Chaos Knights will still deal with Imperial Knights perfectly fine. The problem is there's now an added factor of, oops, I lost the deployment roll, and they put their 14-man infiltrating unit across midboard, and followed by a, oops, I lost the first turn roll, followed by 3 knights in your deployment zone turn 1, which is, it's a 25% chance, right? But unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of games decided by that, and I think it's going to make people very unhappy.
Yeah, no, that's entirely fair. So obviously over here in the UK, we've got the LGT coming up in 3 weeks. I wouldn't expect a fix unless there's some sort of insane points release. But what can people think about? Give me 3 things, guys, that people could try and adjust in either their game plan or their army building in order to try and deal with new knights.
Do you want to hit this one, Jack, first? Yeah, I went first last time.
Transports. Big knights do have an activation lock element issue. One big knight can have all the scary guns in the world, but that one big knight can only kill the transport and cannot kill the contents with its own activation. So you can force them to burn 2 knights on effectively killing your cheap transport and the unit inside, which isn't great, but ultimately it's better than losing 2 other units or 3 other units or 4 other units in one turn. And you can also just make sure you have that infiltrating unit. Yes, the knight player could win the roll off and screen the board with theirs first, but if you win that roll off, you should be able to shut down a lane or 2 that the knights can easily, use to open up your deployment zone for shooting.
Okay, excellent. So that's 2 things. Ed, you get the 3rd thing. So we've got beam transports, infiltrators. What's another thing we can use to tackle knights?
The last thing here is, for me, I think it's going to be one of those things that's like a cop-out answer, but I'm going to go put it alongside something else. Make sure, number one, you have a way to deal with knights, whether it be like, a lot like fire dragons in Eldar, or like some sort of dedicated anti-tank sort of thing. Especially if you're going to see Chaos Knights and Imperial Knights in the mare more often. But the main thing is reps. So actually get a gauge as to where these knights can actually get to, and to be able to see where they're going to be able to connect and get the lines so that they can get. You need to have a really good understanding of that on these new UKTC boards, because you see it's very, very scary. So if like, it's not even the fact that even if you win the first turn deployment roll and win the infiltrating roll, if you then miss position, you're still cooked. So you still need to make sure that you are stopping the lanes that you are stopping, making sure that they can't just tow onto a terrain piece somewhere and get a line on something you didn't expect. So for me, if you've got a knight player friend, play your knight player friend and try and get an understanding of where these knights can go and what their actual threat range is and where they can sort of threaten you and alpha strike you, so you can have a better understanding of how to stop it.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because whenever these new books come out and we learn about threat ranges of these new rules and stuff, obviously you immediately jump to, well, what's the worst case situation? So you see these pictures of 3-4 knights in your opponent's deployment zone that they can actually reach here. That doesn't necessarily mean they're going to, because as we've seen, that would involve them deploying on the line out in the open. And yes, some players will do that. Other players are a bit more conservative and not that style of player. So just actually working out where it is will kind of just be it's quite a nice thing to do. So yeah, 3 top tips there. Heading back to the chat though, Hubris D with the £5 super chat. Huge thank you very much, sir. Dominic's actually a knight player, so he probably doesn't like us talking about why we should beat him. But there you go. What else was in the news? Well, we have got new Marine supplements, and Raven Guard have got Marine players rather excited. I had a read through these rules, and actually they seem quite fun. So, have you guys had a chance to look at them, and have you formed any opinions yet on Raven Guard?
I actually have, and it's very similar to the old. I'll say old. It's very similar to the current detachment of I can't remember what they're called. The uppy downy one.
Vanguard.
Vanguard, yep. So it's very similar to Vanguard in this sort of structure and strats and stuff. So you still have the -1 to hit and the benefits of cover. -1 to hit outside 12 and the cover, which is still really good. The only thing is that there's a few changes that are quite important. So you've also got the new character, which lets you do a free strat of the up in the air.
Yeah, you can up you down, can't you, for free? Yeah.
Into darkness, yeah. So into darkness. So you've got that guy, but also another thing is you've still got the move when someone moves within 9 and stuff. So all that's really good. And effectively, it looks very good. It looks like you still got uppy down. You've now sent Devs back. You can take them in there as well. They can use the strat, so they can be quite annoying in this detachment. So I think there's going to be a few people running this in a very niche way, and the people who are good on it and people who are going to have lots of practice on it are going to be quite good. You're still going to be able to have the stealth and loan up, grab his captain for a laugh, because we love that guy. So yeah, I think this detachment's going to have quite a few cool little things come out, and the new model looks sick as well, which is also
it is a very cool model. I'm a big fan. Jack, anything else?
I think the things I've picked up from this detachment is you can actually threaten a pretty good turn 1 alpha strike if you go second.
Yeah.
There's the combination of the infiltrate enhancement alongside you rapid ingress the unit with the count your strategic reserves as being 1 battle round higher, since you rapid ingress that in turn 1, I believe. I think that's how the rules work for that one. And you can uppy down your unit turn 1 if you go second to then come back on in your turn. And you can threaten your opponent quite a lot with the potential of going, I've got these 3 units that might interact with you turn 1, so maybe they play a bit further back, maybe they play a bit cautiously. And in the meantime, you also have access to a bunch of really solid loan up units. You obviously have the Gravis Captain Ed mentioned earlier with the enhancement. But also you've got the new character who he's not the most durable loan up ever, no, but he is a single model loan up, which is always a solid, easy thing to hide away from people.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got Strikes unit, which is also effectively loan up. So I think you might see quite quite interesting list using 3 lone ops, 3 scary bricks that are trying to keep your opponent to keep their distance, allowing your 3 lone ops to score your points, do your secondaries, etc.
Yeah,
it's gonna be
no,
good.
I think it's interesting because you can, as you say, you can play in that alpha strike way, but you can play it in that kind of that more chilled way. And one of the main weaknesses of Vanguard previously was kind of like you, if you sent devs got like tagged or something, you were in a bit of an issue. That isn't the case anymore because they've now got the strat to fall back and shoot, which kind of just frees them up to have have that get out of jail card. So yeah, I mean, is it going to be back to the glory days of full infiltrate? Was it 8th edition where Raven Guard just deployed everything on the line or in the midboard and went first and won the game?
Yeah, you used to get 6 assault centurions in midboard at the start of the game. They'd start
Yeah,
9 inches away from you,
I
go
remember that.
first, send them straight at you, turn 1. Yeah,
Yeah, I had that done to me and I lost 1,200 points in my army turn one.
See
It
one
was,
then,
a few people did.
it was good times, fun times. And then Imperial Fists are also here. They've not quite made the same ways, but as a Imperial Fist main Ed, I'm sure you've got lots of deep opinions on this.
I think it's good. Obviously, it's
Obviously.
not. It's probably not, but I think it's good. Like it's one of those things. They get a rule which a lot of people would be killing for. Because we've got to remember, guys, these guys still get the +1 to wound because they're still not from. They still don't have their own codex. So Imperial Fist can still get the +1 to wound from Oath. And on top of that, now if you've got Oath at the moment on, they get reroll to woundable 1 as well. Direct License, Sanders unit as well gets 4 rerolls to wound against the Oath at the moment target. So, that's interesting. Direct License stage is slightly changed now as well. It gets 2 of burn once a game, which makes him a bit annoying to kill as well. A lot of the strats in here are very similar to the first company. So you've got like the +1 attack on a character and then +1 attack on everything for a turn, same as the OC one. A get back up character thing. But the one thing that I was really like was, I'm going to completely butcher the pronunciation here, but now Malodraxian Standard. So it does start as ancient model. And basically, if the strength is higher than toughness, you can get -1 to wound. And now Dark Lysander gives that ability, and then the Ancient does on top of that. So you basically have like 20 Terminators all with -1 to wound, which is not bad. Is it brilliant? Probably not brilliant. But is it not bad? Definitely not bad. You've still got the sticky strat, you've got a Downey, you've got +1 to hit or +1 to wound if you've got a starting strength. These are strats. You've got +1. You've got ignores cover and +1 AP. That with rerolls to wound and storm bolters is pretty funny. So you can actually do some bits there. So I think I don't think many people will be using it, to be straight with you, apart from the dedicated Imperial Fist mains. But I think it's interesting detachment and it's a welcome addition to the Space Marine detachment range.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the problem is fundamentally any Marine detachment is fighting with the space of Gladius and Stormlance, isn't it? So it has to offer something very special, unique, in order for people to come away from that. Anything else to add, Jack?
Yeah, I mean, when I read that detachment, I think what I saw was just 20 -1 to wound Terminators, which some armies are just not going to be able to kill. Outside of that, it does just read like the first company task force. So yeah, if you really like Terminators and you really want to put 20+ Terminators on the board, that is the detachment for you.
Yeah, it is. And it's also, remember, they get +1 OC from Dark Lysander as well if you take Lysander in the army, which is obviously very cool as well. You also get Adrax Agatone as a character you can take in your Imperial Fist as well. That guy is pretty cool.
Is he in Salamanders?
No,
Yeah,
no,
you've got the
Adrax.
wrong one.
Wrong name. It's a Tor Garadon. Tor Garadon. That's the guy. The other Gravis one.
The guy who's damage 4 against knights, if I remember right.
He's damage 4 against knights.
It's his time to shine.
This is it. This is the
We're cooking, boys.
guys.
We're cooking.
So yeah, Tor Garadon can be taken as well. He can go into Blade Guard or Aggressors or etc. So I think as a concept, the detachment is cool. Is it going to be the best? Probably not. But it is, if you want, as Jack says, if you want 20 Terminators, it's just a great detachment for it. It probably gives you the best position to use those models.
That's entirely fair. Lovely. Right, well, that was the week in Warhammer, guys. Next week we'll come back and fill you in on anything new that's happened. But yeah, this segment is always going to be about the latest releases and reveals and that sort of thing. So next up, we are now going to look at an event. We're going to be looking at the Goonhammer Open. Each week we will look at a particular event and just look into the podium list, look at the general who did well, and that sort of thing. And we'll always try and pick an event which is kind of pertinent to like us as listeners and that sort of thing. So I am now going to have to do a bit of jiggery pokery. There's Ed. Hey,
Happy birthday, guys.
hey guys, there's Ed. I'm now going to switch over to that tab. No, not that tab. We're now going to share. The last time I tried to share the screen, it did not work. So we're hoping that this time I can. And I'm going to go to the Goonhammer Open. I'm going to share that screen. And then it's going to appear. Boom. Look at that. No one will ever know about what's going on. Okay. So diving back into the chat. Anything fun happening here with the chat? Charlie says, excited for a regular lunchtime slot. Absolutely. Monday lunchtime, 12 to 1. Come join us. Sticky Knickers does say reactive has changed from in charge phase to if units move within 9. And that's the Vanguard strat. So it's obviously not as good now. I played against it the other day in a coaching match, and I was like, that's actually really annoying.
Yeah.
Bang the 9-inch charge anywhere, though, like a boss. So anyway, Goonhammer Open, a reasonably sized event. It looks like 50 people. In a shocking turn of events, Josh Roberts has taken it down. He has let him standard slip, though, because he didn't get max 100 points. So that's a bit disappointing. 84 in round 1, but then he did do Josh Robert things. So let's dive into his Marine list. We've obviously just been talking about Marine. So he's on Ultramarines here, Stormlance, okay? Now, I know that Josh has been doing well with the Storm Raven. I don't know if this list is exactly the same or whether he's updated it slightly, but we'll just talk through it. So he's got Lieutenant Combi Weapon, standard. So he's got Calgar and Gilliman and Ventress, all the big boys. Double Ballistus, Company Heroes, a small Eradicator squad, a Scout squad, 1 unit of Sternguard veterans, triple Hammer Strike, and a Storm Raven. Now, to my untrained eye, that doesn't feel like much stuff. So how on earth is he getting such big wins and just smashing everyone with this list? Why is this list so good, Jack?
I think it just commits horrible amounts of mass violence on people. Really, I mean, you've effectively got double Oath of Moment with Gilliman, and every single one of these units here, really punches above its weight. And you've got just enough combat options, just enough punch in the list to hit things from behind walls. So I suspect it's very much a case of his list hoovers people off the board and then gets itself up to 100 at the end of the game. Is my assumption.
So he's playing like the challenger card game plan, essentially.
Yeah, I could definitely see there being a challenger card on turn 2 and turn 3 as he tables his opponent, and then on turn 4 and 5 when they've got nothing left, he slowly works his way up to his 100-point score.
So steady ones. Ed, have you used or played against this list at all?
I've used something very similar. It's like basically this Storm. I've used Stormlance, Ultramarines before. It does commit, as Jack says, it does commit a horrible amount of violence. Double Oath, like it's little things as well. Like in the current meta as well. Like Gulliman's very good, well lined up to kill knights. If he gets into combat with a knight with Oath, he's just close to killing it. If not, either killing it or close to. And it's a lot of pressure as well because the advance and you've got combat units in there that are just completely deceptive. Like minus Calgar and the Company Heroes, they can advance and charge. They can get to where they want to. The Eradicator, you've got like the Eradicator squad. Is it Eradicators? Yeah, you've got like little Eradicator squads for trading out for the current meta because of the transports and stuff. Like it's just at max violence, trying to kill you and then catch up. You get early challenge cards and get big scores. And that will continue to work, I think, especially since everything else got nerfed around it and Josh was murdering everyone with it anyway. I feel like that's where it's going to be.
Okay, lovely. Oh, I just suddenly realised that it opens a new tab and doesn't show the list. Oh, that's annoying, isn't it? Okay. Excellent. Right. Well, in second place, we have Julio, whose list you now can't see. I've just suddenly realised you can't see my list. So I'll read it out for you. Don't you worry, guys. So Julio went with Khorne Demon King. Okay. So that's the one which is just famous for the fun stratagem, which enables you to just stick some demons in a place. So he's got Khan the Betrayer, Scarbrand, Lord on Juggernaut. And then he's got 10 Bloodletters, 10 Bloodletters, 10 Berserkers. Sorry, so 20 Bloodletters and 10 Berserkers. He's then got 8 Goremongers, 10 Jackals, 6 Blood Crushers, and then 2 units of Chaos Spawn, a unit of Fleshhounds, and triple Forge Fiend, of course, the World Eater Shooty army, and then a Chaos Rhino. Jack, you're a World Eaters main. Does this tickle your fancy?
You know what? I think the Corn Demonkin detachment I think is quite possibly the most fun detachment in that book, mostly because of the horrible things you can do with the Bloodletter strap. Now, for those that know, it has been toned down a little bit since release. It is now restricted to it. You must be 6 inches away when you do it. Restriction, I believe, which hopefully means it's not as insane to play against before, where they'd kill a unit and suddenly you'd end up with your entire army, or you have a whole unit of Bloodletters denying your secondary card, blocking your charge, taking your home objective, or something equally as insane. And I think what's interesting about this list is actually he's not gone too heavily in the direction of just having a lot of Bloodletters.
No.
There is actually quite a good variety of units here. And I think he might actually just be playing on the detachment rule a little bit more, where you build up your blood tithe points and you unlock certain buffs for the army, rather than basically the whole list being based around teleporting, a whole bunch of Bloodletters in your opponent's face at some point and using 3 Forge Fiends to do it. Obviously, 3 Forge Fiends are still there. But I think this is a much more well-rounded World Eaters list than a lot of what we've been seeing with Berserker Warband and 80 Berserkers. I think this probably has a much more level-headed matrix. I'd be intrigued to see how it actually gets on into Knights and Chaos Knights, because obviously Scarbrand is an excellent answer, but the rest of it, I think a lot of commitment would be required for the rest of that list to hurt the big Knights.
No, absolutely. Anything to add, Ed?
No, I think Jack's basically covered what I was going to say. That I played Demonkin at WTC. That was a pre-nerf, and it was an absolute nightmare, especially with Eldar. Like you just don't hold primary, and they do as a static point. But obviously, leading less into the letters here, which means he's playing. Yeah, I think he's basically building up his rules, as Jack says, and playing the detachment rule instead. The detachment rule is still very good. Like, when those abilities start to go off and start to add up and start to layer on top of each other, on top of the the World Eaters buffs as well, those little pieces become very, very scary. So yeah, and also Scarbrand is just an animal. He's still very good. so I can definitely see the value. So yeah, I think that's basically it from my point of view.
No, nothing. It just, like, looking at a list, it just looks a fun list. Like, you've got 3 Forge Fiends, they do work. You've got mission playing pieces in like your Fleshhounds and your Chaos Spawn. You've got that Hammer Blood Crusher unit. You've also got, a few little guys to do things there. And then you've got your Bloodletters to enable the strat, the 10 Corn Berserkers and Khan and stuff. You've got characters. You've got Big Monster and Scarbrand. Like, it just ticks all the boxes, doesn't it? It plays good Warhammer and just looks a really fun list. So I think that's a really cool job. And Julia obviously did really well there to go 5-1 with a 72 loss. I don't know who that was to. Might have been Josh. And then Podium Tau. Tony Barrett did really well for 5 games. He then ran into Josh Roberts in the final game. But we've all been there, mate, so don't worry about it. So Tony Barrett, how did he do? Well, he's on Monka. He's got Cadre Fireblade, Commander Shadow Sun, Firesight team, Breacher team, and then 2 Devilfish, and then he's got quite a few broadsides. Okay, so 2 units of broadsides, 1 Ghost Kill, 3 Hammerheads, Kroot Carnivores, Kroot Hounds, Krootox Riders, Pathfinder team, and Piranha. Now, I know literally pretty much nothing about Tau, apart from I just don't like them. So I'm going to have to hand over to your knowledgeable Tau selves here. Any opinions? Is this a general Tau list? I genuinely don't know at the moment. So what do you guys think?
I mean, it feels like it does feel like a general tower list. I don't know if it's I can't really see anything that would be out of the ordinary monstrosity. He has leaned into the ion cannons instead on the hammerheads rather than the rail guns, which is what we used to be running. I quite like the ion cannons anyway, just because they're more consistent and less swingy. But yeah, he's effectively going mass AP2 damage to 2 and 3. Is effectively what you're looking at here. Because you've got the high yield missile pods on the broadsides rather than the las cannons as well. And yeah, it's a bunch of guns, all with assault, all with lethal hits when it's guided. All can be all can be annoyingly reliable. The Pathfinder, and also you can do with very, very strong Alpha Strike if you'd like to, because of the Delphish can scout up as well with the Pathfinders. And yeah, I think that's basically what I'm going to get as a gauge from this. Also, breaches on objectives are still violent because, for rolls to wound and stuff. But yeah, I think that unfortunately I can't give you much at the moment because I'm going to be picking up towers at some stage in the future. But that's basically where I'm at for now. It looks like a tower list that is designed to guide stuff and kill it. That is the general theory.
Nice. Tau main Jack, any thoughts?
You know what? There was one thing I spotted about the list that I thought was very interesting. Is it's a Tau list with no stealth suits, which I would have thought after the changes where you guide a unit for the whole shooting phase effectively, right? You have your spotting unit, and that spotting unit guides for everything else that shoots that target. And I'd have thought with stealth suits giving reroll 1s to hit and 1s to wound, that would just be absolute money. But there is interestingly no stealth suits here. He's instead gone for triple Pathfinder team, which I believe they individually guide 2 targets, which I actually think, having talked to a few Tau players previously, I can understand why maybe that's the direction to go in. A lot of them, ultimately it's still sometimes quite challenging to have enough spotting activations or enough spotting units to do all the things you want to do in a turn.
Yeah.
And I think maybe by just going, you know what, as nice as the rerolls would be against that one target, I just need to spread my firepower out a bit more. I'll take these 3 Pathfinder squads because, let's say I want my big unit of broadsides to shoot these 2 units to death. Instead of now having to trade 3 units for that, right? You go, here's my broadsides, here's my 2 stealth teams who are now going to guide off into those 2 different targets. It's now, here's my 1 Pathfinder team, here's my 1 broadside team, and maybe some other guns that are sitting at the back of the back. Maybe it's another broadside unit or something. And now you expend less resources to play the game, which I think has been a bit of a Tau design issue for a little while, where they have to trade slightly too many units to use their army rule effectively.
Yeah.
Nice. There you go, guys. So Tau players, Tau mains, check out that list. So let's just have a quick scroll down and just see if there's anything we've got there. So we've got Nathan Roberts on a good run with Chaos Knights. Obviously, quite a bad first game, but then Nathan pulled out. Nathan, obviously, a top player. Jack, just very quickly, what's your opinion as a Chaos Knight guy that took them to WTC? So we've got Knight Despoiler, Knight Despoiler, Knight Despoiler. So we've got triple Knight Despoiler. I once also used a Knight Despoiler. That's fun. And then we've got 2 Carnivores, 2 Stalkers, Nurglings, and Rotigus. Good old Rotty.
Well, that is pretty much exactly the same list we at Warmasters took to the Glasshammer Teams event this weekend. So that should probably sum up what it's roughly along the lines of what I was thinking. I think Chaos Knights, even after the points changes, are still going to be a very solid army. This shift into, I think Despoilers are defining the army quite hard.
It's a lot of shots.
Ultimately, well, it's a lot of shots with access to sustained lethal at decent strength, with access to ignores cover as a scrap. It effectively gives them just a phenomenal long-range gun platform that tackles pretty much everything in the game except really hard toughness 12 targets, which is what the Stalkers are there probably to deal with. They go in, hopefully they find the target on its own, so they get to use their rule. And they've got two good melter shots. They've got 4 good combat attacks at strength 12. It's definitely enough for a T12 vehicle to be a little scared of. And Rotigus is, I think Rotigus is Chaos Knight's secret weapon, really, especially now after the point changes. The volume of toughness 12 wounds with a 4 up in 1 6 up feel no pain you get for his points just allows, it gives you so much breathing room with your 3 despoilers to give them time and space to shoot the board, clear the board up, because your opponent has to deal with Rotigus. It's such a stodgy stat line, and it requires such an overcommitment to deal with.
Yeah. Nice. So scrolling down, we've got Chaos Space Marines, we've got some Eldari, Matt Robson, Emperor's Children, Orcs, Blood Angels, Imperial Knights, Tyranids, or Greg Chamberlain, Liam Royals, Wild Eaters, Grey Knights. This was a Santic Spearhead list with lots of NDK and a Storm Raven. So actually just scrolling down here, what is immediately noticeable to me is that the variety of factions.
Yeah.
If we're thinking about the current meta, obviously we could potentially be worried that there would have been previously a lot of Death Guard and Knights, but we've got Marines, Wild Eaters, Tau, Chaos Knights, Chaos Space Marines, Eldari, EC, Orcs are up there, Blood Angels, Imperial Knights, Tyranids, like even Custodes are going 4 and 2 now. So that does that indicate that we're in a bit of a healthier place now, Ed?
Yes, obviously, I think that the meta is obviously balancing out from the Imperial, from the Knights and Chaos Knights and Death Guard Dark Times, but luckily it wasn't really around for long enough to see a monster like an immeasurable impact. Because obviously there are still armies that could deal with them anyway, and obviously they could be dealt with anyway with certain factions, and on top of that, they've now been nerfed. So obviously you're going to see, the meta balance out quite a lot now. Especially basically the next slate could be the time where we have the most balanced game we ever have had, because it is literally that close. It's that close at the moment. It's a little bit of a push, and then we'll be fine. I mean, the Imperial Knights are around the corner for sure, but I think I think you're going to find that it's, the meta as a whole is going to be very healthy.
Absolutely, very very exciting times. So yeah, that was our little cheeky look into our meta analysis. Well, look at that inception on the screen right now. So I'm now going to do some more. There's Jack's face. Hey Jack. So I'm now going to share a different thing. I'm going to share back to the PowerPoint. And let's get that on the screen, seamless. I am trying to keep this to an hour because it is the lunchtime show, so we'll see how close we get to that. Play. Right. Okay. Now is the time for our weekly show. Who am I? Or our weekly game, sorry. So play along at home, please. This was shamelessly stolen from a golf podcast I used to listen to, where they would pick a golfer, and the players would have to guess who this is. So the way this game is going to work is I am going to give you one clue, okay? And after I've given you that clue, you're going to write down who you think the person is. Okay. Then I'm going to give you a second clue, and then you can either stay with the person you think it is, or you can change. Then I'll give you a third clue. Again, you can stay, you can change to a completely different person. You might even want to go back to the character you were on your first guess. I will do that 5 times. Okay. The questions or the information, the clues get easier each time. So the first clue, I'd be impressed if you managed to get it, but hey, you might. And then obviously by the time we get to clue 5, it is a lot easier in theory to work it out. The way this works is you get the number of points depending on which clue you settle on your character. Okay, so let's say after clue 1 you thought, I think it's the Emperor. And then clue 2, you're like, actually, I think it's Gilliman. And then clue 3, you're like, you know what, actually, it was the Emperor. And then you stick with the Emperor through clues 3, 4, and 5. You would get 3 points because you got it right on clue 3. And obviously the goal is to score, as we rank this up, Jack versus Ed over a period of time. It'll be who scores the least amount of points. Okay, so that's how we will work. All right, makes sense. So all you need to do is just have something that you can write down the person's name. So clue 1. Now I hope this doesn't just reveal all clues immediately. That's all right. This character's world was discovered in the year 830.m30. Okay. So this character's world was discovered in the year 830.m30. Okay, so all you're going to do is write down who you think that might be. Feel free to play along at home, write it down. Don't necessarily start shouting out answers because we don't want Ed and Jack to cheat. We know what they're like. Do you both have a name written down? Don't tell me what it is.
I do.
I do.
I'm loose. I'm not that confident, but I've got a name right now.
No. Well, to be fair, if you get it straight away after clue one, then sad times, right? I've tried to make it a bit harder. Right. Here we go. This character once met Eldrad Ulthran on the planet Tarsus.
Okay, now I think I've got it.
So,
I'm gonna stick with my answer.
Okay, this one.
I think.
So you can stay with it or you can change it.
Yeah.
Clue 3. This Primarch's fall to chaos began on a water world. Met with silence here, so don't know how that's gone. So I've now clue 3. I've given you a bit, so obviously you can still be. Eddie, you still as confident?
I don't know about that one at all. I'm still relatively. I'm confident about the first. Well, the second bit. The second bit I'm really confident about. The first bit I'm very loose on. So I'm still sticking with the same answer. But can I lock in at any point?
Can you what? Sorry.
Can I lock in at any point?
Well, we'll find out. Like, if you to lock in, you will just keep writing the same name.
Oh, six.
Yeah. So yeah. So yeah, how are you feeling right now, Jack?
Not great, if I'm honest.
Really?
The second one, right? I have definitely seen somewhere, and I cannot put the name of who it is to my brain.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that makes me think I'm wrong because I think you would know this straight away if I'm right. that's making me not very confident. The fact that you're not with it, you're not said it as well.
We're working our way through. The clues getting easier. So everyone's now discovered that this character we're talking about is in fact a Primarch, and they fell to chaos. So there we go. Clue 4. This Primarch ship was called the Pride of the Emperor.
Yeah.
This Primarch ship was called the Pride of the Emperor. I feel like at this point, this is when I'm trying to make people have a better chance of doing it.
Yeah. Now I think I'm right.
And
I think I'm right.
Clue number 5. So again, remember, just keep writing the same name down or change your name. For clue number 5, the final one, this Primarch. Oh, I've written that wrong. This Primarch was once known as the Phoenician. The Phoenician. So there we are, guys. At this point, I would hope that my two wonderful colleagues will now know the character that we have been talking about. But at what point did they lock it in? So firstly, Jack, what character are we talking about?
Jack?
Hello, Jack.
Is he frozen? Oh, he's gone. You can start with me then.
Okay, well, we'll start with Ed. Ed, which character do you think we are talking about?
That's Fulgrim.
It is Fulgrim. You are absolutely right, Edward. Well done, sir. So, who did you put down after clue 1?
Fulgrim. It was a guess. It was a guess of a Primarch. It was a random guess of a Primarch.
Okay.
It had absolutely no context whatsoever.
Okay. After clue 2, who did you write down?
At that point, it was Fulgrim as well because that was the water world question, wasn't it?
Okay, and then so did you stay with Fulgrim the entire time?
Yeah, I did. I guessed the first one was a guess. The second one I was like, I'm pretty sure that was Fulgrim because the Primarchs, Fulgrim was definitely on a water world.
Yeah, good. Wow.
And then after that, I just stuck with the rest because the bit that really got me. No, sorry, the second one is where I got it because the second one was the Eldrad because I knew that you met Eldrad at one point. So yeah, I did. The Eldrad meeting him on Tyrus was like a bit where I was like, okay, that I think is Fulgrim because the first one was just a guess. The second one was that. Third one with the water world, I was sort of like, I think he did, but
Yeah.
like I wasn't 100% sure. I wasn't too confident about that. The Pride of the Emperor bit, I was a bit more confident about, and then the Phoenician was like, yeah, makes sense.
Nice. Well, there you go. Way to ruin my game straight away. But that will sometimes happen, and other times you might not get clear. I clearly got to rank this up, make it a bit harder next time. But that's 1 point to Ed. How many points did Jack score? We don't know. I'm just going to quickly check on whether he's made his way back. Hang on. There
Hello.
he is. Hey,
Welcome back.
Jack. Welcome back. So, Jack, what did you score, sir?
What is it? It's number of point, like the question number is how many points you get.
Yeah, at what point did you lock him in? So
3.
Ed stayed with Fulgrim the entire time, so he scored 1 point.
Yeah, no, I didn't get it until question 3. I'll be honest, it took me so long to remember the name after question 2 that I was like, well, I can't remember. I then waited till question 3 and was like, oh, okay, now I know.
Who did you put down for question 1 out of interest?
Oh, I just put that one. I had no idea, so I just put like Alexis Pollux or something.
Nice, yeah. Well, that's the like when I used to do listen to the golf podcast. What they would do is they like the first one would be like this person went to blah blah university, and then like so you would just put a random name down, and then 2 would be like they were born in blah blah, and like they just get progressively harder. I found thank you very much, Spray Black Studios, to say the questions were perfectly weighted. Thank you. My goal would be around 3 or 4. You're starting to 4. You if you have good knowledge, you'll get there. If you have decent knowledge, 3 if you've got very good knowledge, and if you're a lucky son of a bitch, then
it's just luck. It was just luck. I guess a Primarch that's popular.
Yeah,
that's I knew it was going to be a Primarch.
Well, get ready for the most obscure character ever next time.
You should have picked such a famous one.
No, yeah, there were so many different clues I did go through until I worked this one out. So yeah.
To be fair, I think in this exact moment that could have said any number and I'd have guessed Fulgrim. I just guessed the first Primarch came to my head.
Based off the M30, I was like, they'll probably guess a Primarch. That was my Horus Heresy character. That was my first thought. Right, okay. So that was the game. Now we're over to list surgery. So if you are a YouTube member, you should, although there are a few technical difficulties usually, have access to our members section on our Discord. In that section, you can put down a list that you would like us to look at, and we will pop it up on our PowerPoint. So as of last night, these were the ones. We've only got about 10 minutes left, so we'll just have a minute or 2 on each one. It's not going to be super in-depth. Got a special announcement coming soon on if you do want super in-depth analysis of a list and support with list writing. We are going to be having a special new option for people to plug into. But this is just a little gloss over. So, first of all, and on the Discord, Chaos Knights, Infernal Lance, Jack Tight, give us your thoughts on this and how would you improve it? So we've got a Serastrous Knight Lancer, we've got 2 Abominants, 2 Despoilers, 1 with double Gatling Cannon, 1 with double Battle Cannon, and a Carnivore.
You need to add him back in, mate. He's gone and come back again. I didn't want to interrupt your flow, you know.
Sorry, Chris. I had another.
I didn't realise you've gone. I can't see because I've just got the screen. Right.
I guess the first question is there any requirements, anything they want to stick to?
They've not said anything. They just said rate my list. Screen's gone blank.
I think in general with Chaos Knights, you play them because you like big stompy robots, but I think the way the game works is that by the time you have more than 4, you start getting a little light on resources to play the game with, and I think this list is likely to run into those issues. I think what we've had after a few months of having a Knight meta is people now know how to deal with big Knights very well, and as such, Chaos Knight players and Imperial Knight players have had to move to builds where they play a normal game, and more normal game of Warhammer a bit more, where maybe you score your card for error denial with one of your Armigers or your War Dogs, maybe a Beast of Nurgle. So I guess if it was me, I think I would want to take at least one of the 5 big Knights out and just replace that with its equivalent number of points of War Dogs or Beast of Nurgle or Nurglings, just to have a few more units. I think in Infernal Lance, the standouts are Despoilers and Melee Knights, or Knights with high movement stats. Because the +3 move on Cerestus Knights, or a Rampager, or an Atropos suddenly means that they interact with a lot more of the board turn one than your opponent would like. I think the Abominants are probably what I would look to take out if it was me playing Infernal Lance. And, you know, maybe I would change the Lancer for an Atropos or a Rampager, but that's just because I'm not a big fan of the Lancer. But overall, I think that the main thing to look at is 1 big knight out, 2 to 3 war dogs in.
Nice. There we go. Bosh. Right, next person. Phil W. Tyranids Vanguard Onslaught. Okay, so 3 Broodlords, 3x5 hyper-adapted Raveners, a Neuro Tyrant, a Winged Hive Tyrant, a Biovore, 3x5 Gene Stealers, 2 Lictors, 2 Neuro Lictors, 2x5 Raveners, and unit of 6 Von Ryan Leapers. Ed, you're a Tyranid main. Do you have any opinions on this?
Totally Tyranid main. I've totally played them before. So yeah, three. I mean, basically, this looks as good as a structure for Vanguard Onslaught as far as I've my understanding goes. So 3 Broodlords, 3 Introducers, 3x5 hyper attack Raveners, 2x5 Raveners, and 6 Von Ryans. Obviously, they all get the detachment rule. They all get the advanced charge. You've got a lot of missile units there. The only thing that I would look at is potentially trying to find a way to squeeze in some shooting as well, so you don't have to commit these very brittle units to the middle too early. So the general way that people would be doing this, I mean, the Winged Hive Tyrant is the first thing that I've seen people being like not been taking, and maybe removing like the Hive Tyrant and a Neurolictor for maybe an extra or 2 if you can fit it in for that many points. But it all totally depends on your playstyle as well. If you're going to be trying to play that super combat, so that's a very hyper combat trading game, then this will work. And it also depends on the terrain as well. Like if you're going to be using this sort of list, you need to make sure the terrain you're playing on has good enough staging to keep those very brittle units alive, especially with the a side glance of a blast smash will lift unit of Raffiners. Like just bear that in mind, that can happen. And yeah, so I think this has got some interesting pieces. But my concern here is there wouldn't be enough shooting. There wouldn't be quite enough shooting. I know they're not quite, the experience aren't quite as good in Vanguard because they don't get the ability like an invasion fleet, but it's still a solid profile that can be used. But that's where I'd be looking at first. It also depends on its role, because if this is full combat and anti-combat, the Winged Hive Tyrant and the Broodlord together, like that combination with the -1 to hit and the -1 attack, I think it is, can equal out to be quite annoying for people to actually use their combat units efficiently whilst that is in place. The issue that you find is when you're trying to use these abilities is that your units are very delicate anyway, so it's whether that is actually enough to survive anyway. So yeah, shooting would be a nice addition, I think, or maybe Trigon, because I like Trigons.
So it's a lot of units, though, isn't it? So it's playing that hyper MSU style thing, which is quite cool.
Absolutely.
All right, Chaz W, Blood Angels. Right, here we go. This is a bit funky from good old Chazza. So we've got Fight's first captain with jump pack. We've then got a chaplain with jump pack. We've got Lamartes. We've got the classic lieutenant. We've got the intercessor squad for Sticky. 3x5 JPI. We've then got a veteran squad. We've then got a foot death company squad. We've then got, as far as I can work out, 2 units of 10 Death Company Marines with jump pack. Then a unit of 6 a Sanguinary Guard, a Vindicator, and a Calidus Assassin. Hey, do you like Blood Angels?
I do like Blood Angels. I think Calidus Assassins are going to be I think Calidus Assassins are good, and they're going to be much more common in the future. I think there's going to be a lot more combat in the area with a lot more interrupts and a lot more fight on death, so you have to get getting around. So I think that a Calidus Assassin is a very good call. I think definitely consider keeping that in. I think the thing is 6 Sanguinary Guard when you take a unit of 6 without with the fight first is fun and is interesting, especially with this free strat to make yourself better when you get charged. But my concern here, my main concern is the Foot Death Company. Like, yeah, but like, obviously, if you just have them, you want to use them, then crack on. Like, who am I to judge? But I think the one thing that Blood Angels do really well at the moment is applying maximum pressure. So, like, but those Death Company Marines don't really contribute anything as such compared to another unit of intercessors or another trade piece like unit of Incursors or like any other 80-point unit of Marines that you can think of, like Reavers for -1 and Battle Shock Tech is also very nice in this list, because along with the Vect and Battle Shock Tech and stuff, you can get around their like defensive strats and also make them more expensive, even if that doesn't go off. But yeah, it's solid. I also think if you're going to take a Vindicator, I think generally speaking, the approach that I've seen people when they take shooting in the Rare Assault group is taking 2 shooting platforms, not one, because obviously one platform can just do nothing. Having that second one, that gives you a little bit more security in the shooting that you're going to be doing. But yeah, I think in this might, if you're going to be taking one Vindicator and the Death Company Marines, you could just replace the Death Company Marines and the Vindicator for another unit of 10 Death Company with jump packs, and that's all the pressure. And that's if I had a choice between one Vindicator and the unit of 5 Death Company Marines, that's where I'd be leaning to. But yeah, apart from that, it's a solid structure. Like you've still got Blood Angel good bits plus some interesting choices, which is fair enough.
It's Blade Guard vets. He points out in the chat apparently. So yes, although they don't not
Blade Guard veterans. Okay, cool. So it's Blade Guard. Oh, sorry, I thought it was Vanguard vets. So Blade Guard vets are good. They're solid. Is it just a unit 3 or unit 6?
Don't know. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Well, either way, I think Blade Guard is solid as well. I think the only issue is with Blade Guard is they are slow compared to the rest of your army, and they need transports to really activate in the way that you really want to. So if it was a Blade Guard veteran score, which I think is 80 points, Death Company is 80 points, and Vindicator's 185. 10 Death Company on foot and 6 Blade Guard vets. Okay, cool. So yeah, I think the 10 Death Company Marines on foot. I'll have to. They get the +1 to hit. They get like sustained 2. Is it at some stage, or is that changed? I know that
I don't know what I do. I've not looked into it.
I'll have a quick look. So, but yeah, I think basically, if you're going to go with lots of jump packs, I think you should probably just go with the. I think you should just go with that, because ultimately it means that you don't have to send your army in waves because of the speed. You can definitely just sort of throw it all together. So yeah, these guys are basically just the same without battle packs. They get sustain 1 if they get each time one makes an attack that has sustain 1, it goes to sustain 2 if the unit's below starting strength. So sustain 1 if it's below starting strength, sustain 2 if it's below half strength. So yeah, it is solid. Like if that unit survives for a bit longer than it's meant to, then you can definitely use sustain 2 in certain ways. I think it's down to how you'd use that. But I think, like, if you're going to be leaning towards the jump pack stuff, that's what I would consider. But obviously, give it a go. My suggestion for here is if you can use a 10 Death Company and stuff like that, then definitely lean towards maybe having the catalyst around the catalyst near it to stop their offensive stats, and then you can use your 5 first. So yeah, that's what I'd be leaning towards if you have a Death Company captain for that.
There you go, Chazza. Oh, it's another red one. Sorry, Jack. Unless you're a pro on Grey Knights, Jack, I'm not entirely sure you think that much about them. So we've got Banishers here. Obviously, there's an interesting discussion at the moment about Warpbane and Banishers for Grey Knights. They both have different strengths. Warpbane just has the flat-out power improvement, whereas Banishers has a few more tricks. So we've got a Tech Marine with the 66 seal that gives the unit an extra AP, and that'll be with one of the Purifier bricks, probably the one with 4 Psy Cannons. We've then got Crow, who'll be with the other Purifier brick, which has 4 Incinerators. So we've got 2 10-man shooty Purifier bricks there. We've then got 1 Grandmaster Nemesis Dread Knight with Sigil of the Hunt, which gives you reroll 1s to hit. 2 units of 5 Stripes for Scout and Sticky. 3 Razorbacks, which will be the 2 units of Strikes and the unit of Purifiers, I assume. Got a Rhino for the Interceptors to hop in and out of. And then, we've got another extra 5-man Purifier unit and Calidus Assassin. So, Banishers, obviously, the detachment rule is on a leadership test. You get lethal or sustained. That's fine, but it's not consistent. You're taking this detachment more for the stratagems, like the Mr. Deimos, which is obviously an incredible stratagem. You've also got no deep strike within 12 inches from a character, which is really nice on the footprint of the Grandmaster Nemesis Dread Knight. You've got Anti-Chaos 4-up, which means those Purifiers will do absolute work into any sort of Chaos unit, especially things like Chaos Knights. You got Bounce Back Mortals. You got a lot of fun things there. So, Ed, I know you're on the Warpbane train at the moment, but what do you think of this Banishers list?
I think this list it's very interesting, to be honest. It's one of those things that you look at a list and you don't really appreciate how it can work until you actually see it in action. Because obviously the Razorbacks, I believe, give you an extra AP when they get out of it.
Yeah, when you disembark, you get an extra AP in combat and shooting against the thing the Razorback shot at.
Yeah, so effectively, this would mean that, like, those units of 5, the unit of 10, no, is it unit of 5 that jumps out of it, right? So it's unit of 5
Yeah,
purifiers.
so if it's 5 purifiers or 2 units of 5 strikes, which can scout forward, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that the concept of this is interesting, right? Like, because obviously those 2 Razorbacks can scout forward and can be good. But like, if you had like a tech marine with a 66 steel in a purgation squad with, like, I don't know, psi cannons or like silencers and stuff, they would give you extra AP. Then you can get the extra AP from the Razorbacks as well. So I think this is just down to, if you change the structure a little bit, you can really weaponize that tech marine a little bit more. So like, you could effectively have, like, a tech marine jump out with a unit of purgation squad, and they'll have, like, 12 shots of strength 8 AP 3, 2 damage, because you get the plus 1 AP from both sources. Or like, you could do with like silences, because I think silences are 6 shots each or something like that.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So it'd be like 24 shots at AP2. Not bad, right? Especially with sustained and all that sort of thing. No, sorry, they're doing it state. It's only in combat, sure. But there's lots of different ways you can, like, utilize that. But I think if you're going to be using the Razorbacks, you want to be using units that can utilize that extra AP a touch more than just jump out and charge out of it. Because there's going to be lots of times where you're going to be jumping out the unit and charging something behind a wall, so you don't really get the extra AP from the Razorback anyway. So I think that's something to consider. So I think it's just basically trying to look at maybe a slightly different structure to, like, what you're trying to use this for. I mean, the extra AP on the purifiers is fun. You get, like, AP2 flamers once, but then that's as you traded then. But I think definitely look at trying out the purgation squads in this sort of format with the Razorbacks, because if you're already committed to the Razorback sort of tricks and stuff, I do think the purgation squads are the ones that benefit from that the most. But that's my view on that.
Yeah. I mean, I've been building, so I'm torn between whether to take Walkbane or Banishers to LGT. And when I've been building my Banishers list, I've been very much kind of thinking about, I put the transports in, and then I gradually start taking the transports out. I do quite like 10 interceptors in and out of a Rhino. I think that's got play. I'm not sold on whether the Razorbacks are. Obviously, they give you things to do, like once the unit's gone out. We're not looking at an Alpha Strike style of list here, really. I'd also be tempted with the 5 Purifiers just to have them as pure melee. I'm not sure, just they can punch up quite nicely. So I'd probably just go pure melee on just the 5 Purifiers. But do you need strikes in Razorbacks for both units when one's probably starting on your home field and sticking the objective? Probably not. So that can immediately cut out one Razorback. Do either of your strikes need? Like, if you cut 2 or 3 of the Razorbacks, that's freeing up over 200 points. That could be, or even if you drop 2 of them, you could get another, like, interceptor squad, another strike squad, that sort of thing. Start getting a few more points to play around with. So that's personally how I would go down. I think I'm down to 1 Rhino at the moment. Right, okay. So finally, we're just over an hour. Sad times, right? Jack, you're going to get first honour of this. So, dear Deidre, so we've got an agony aunt section in our Discord. There's something you want us to solve. I know, like, is one of your teammates really pissing you off because they never read your messages and keep asking stupid questions, like that sort of thing? Is it life advice? Is it Warhammer 40k advice? Is it tactics advice? Whatever. We did have one in the Discord from. I can't remember who it was now, but I didn't really understand how we could show it on the screen. So I've taken this one submitted on YouTube, which is from Spacebugs007, which is, what's your process for learning a brand new detachment? Okay, you've been playing, I think in this case it was probably something like Spacebugs have been playing Invasion Fleet over and over and over, wanted to move on to a different detachment, played a few games, just lost, and was like, oh, well, I guess I'll just go back to my old detachment then. So, Jack, when you're thinking about trying out a new detachment, having been settled with an existing one, what's your process in order to try and learn how it plays, list build with it, etc.?
So I think there's 2 ways I look at it. There is a detachment that is very niche, very few people play, in which case if I, maybe I'll have a read through it, I will maybe try to find 1 or 2 interesting combos or focus points of the detachment that I go, okay, this gives me something to build around. So a list that I've played a little bit of in the last year that, I didn't think was going to do very well at first was I took a Questor Forge Pact Imperial Knights list, which is the AdMech Knight list. Now, my main thing with that was I went through the strats and I went, okay, there's a cool stratagem in here that lets me Overwatch. How best can I use this stratagem? So then you go through all the knights, you go through all the units that, you go through the book, you go, okay, what works best with this? And I found the Knight Valiant worked the best because it has a big flamer, and as such, its Overwatch is a lot better than everyone else's. Now, I started with just one of them. At that point, that is my core idea of the list. I want to build around that, so I put in a bunch of supporting units. I put in Canis because he's just good. I put in a couple other war dogs and not war dogs, Armigers. And I played the list a few times. Now, after playing the list a few times, I was like, okay, what's performing? What isn't? At which point, I took Canis out and decided to leverage the detachment a bit more by taking another Valiant. And I developed the list from there, continuing to focus around the core combo thing that I looked at and thought, oh, okay, I think that's quite powerful. And I think that's probably the best way of doing it with detachments people haven't played much. I think with a lot of detachments, though, because the game is generally a lot better balanced than it used to be, is you can very easily find, other people's lists that they've made for those detachments. And I think, while it's good to take the time to learn and find out what units are good in the book, I think it's a lot easier to take someone's idea, play a few games with it, and try to understand why they've got the units they have in there. If I saw someone else's Tyranid list and they were running Invasion Fleet, they had the Exocrines, they had some Hormagaunts and stuff. I'd play that list a few times, try and understand what the role of each unit is, and then once I've got the experience with it, start maybe making changes to the list.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's just understanding, isn't it, that you're not going to necessarily understand the list straight away. It's going to take a while, especially if the list plays in a different way. And you can't. I know, like with Grey Knights, I had like kind of the way I would play Grey Knights with Warpbane, with the Index detachment, and then I would try and transition that over to the Warpbane when I started taking Warpbane, and actually that didn't particularly work because this didn't have those fancy tricks. It was much more of a killier detachment. So Ed, do you have any pearls of wisdom for when you're trying to learn a new detachment? You play new detachments all the time, so how do you do it?
Yeah, so effectively using a new detachment, similar concept to where you're trying to find I try to find the focal point and the reason why I'm doing the detachment, right? Because trying out a new detachment without really a direction or a thought process of how you're going to use the detachment, that will lead to these situations where you use it not really understanding what you're doing, get a little bit frustrated maybe, and not try it again. So you need to have a good understanding of what you're using the detachment to do, whether this is going to be to blunt people, whether this is going to be to try out and go and get some big wins, or try and keep a more stable game. So effectively, what I look at first is what do I want to do with the detachment, and that's the first thing. So you have then like the role of the list is my first thought process. Then after that, it's like, okay, now I've got the role of the list. Now now to fill that role, what do I need to do? Then you can go through the detachment, see the combos, and that would work to try and fill these roles a little bit better and start to create a good structure. Good example of this would be when I was jumping onto Seer Council. So I jumped onto Seer Council and I was building that list. I looked at the attachments and then you can build your units around that. So obviously that would mean that I'd be like, okay, for the list doctoring situation and learning the detachment, then I'd be like, okay, I need Psychers for my strats. So I'm going to have 3 Warlock Skyrunners as a simple baseline for that. And when you actually learn the detachment itself, you need to, if I'm going to try and learn a detachment, when I've written a list, I'll deploy the list on a map, just on TTS, and just look at it and just try and deploy it, and try and make it look. Try and see a deployment and make it look good from my point of view. Like, do I feel comfortable with this deployment? Am I missing something? Do I need to do something else? And also seeing these combos in action is going to be invaluable in its own right. You need to be able to see these combinations that are in place, see where their fail points are, understand that, so that you can better assess the damage that you want to do, the blunting you're trying to do in a matchup. Maybe you'll misplace a move block at some stage, and you're like, oh, that's why I lost this game by 20 more points than I should have. If this was maybe more tightly knitted, then this wouldn't be an issue. So effectively, when you're trying to learn a detachment, understand what you're trying to achieve first, and then once you've gauged that and made sure you've understood it properly, then you can sort of then go onto the list doctor stage, write list, try the list, get a feel for the detachment, get some reps in, make the mistakes, Don't give up before you make the mistakes. If you give up when you've made the mistakes, you'll never move on to the detachment. Just go, oh, cool. I've made that mistake. Noted. Next time, just go and do it again. Don't make the same mistake, or at least do the best of your ability not to. And once you've done these reps, once you've got the practice in place, you'll be in a much more solid and sturdy position to be able to use that detachment at a tournament and maybe go get some big wins with it.
Yeah, no, I think that's really good. And I think, like, from my perspective, it's a matter of be okay with a lot of failure. If it's something you're willing to do and want to have success with, like, invest in that and try different things. Oh, this didn't work. Let's try and do it a different way. And just when you're tweaking lists, don't just suddenly go, well, that didn't work. Here's 1,000 new points. If you have a concept, if you've gone through the list writing steps that you should do, then maybe change like 1 or 2 units out. But it depends how often you play, right? But just don't panic immediately. It's okay to lose a bunch of games, and all advice anyone will ever give you is you learn far more from losses than wins. So hey, if you just keep losing, that means you're always learning, right? That's my approach at the moment anyway. So anyway, we've almost done an hour. It's an hour and 11 minutes, not bad. Spray Black Studios, I've just read your question in the Discord. Awesome question, one that I want to give proper service to. So that would be our Dear Duty question for next week, okay? So other than that, I do the PowerPoints kind of during the week, and on the Sunday, I probably won't do much on the Monday morning on them. So get all your questions and that sort of thing in by the Sunday, and then I'll definitely do it. But this has been the first 40k Lunchtime show. It's been a blast. So thank you very much for joining us. We will be back 12 o'clock next Monday. And thank you very much, Ed and Jack. You've been wonderful.
Pleasure.
And we will see you. We as a 3 will see you next Monday. I'll probably be around during the week or something. But other than that, until then, take care. Goodbye.